Hey guys, so if you've been watching the channel with any regular frequency, you'll know that I talk about a lot of games that I like. But I take a look at my YouTube videos and, well, yeah, that's unfortunate. So I figured I would take the show instead of tell approach and talk about one of the games that I played the most, Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. Now, this game is my bread and butter. And my jam. This game is my jam. But is it your jam? Should it be your jam? I'm not going to say yes or no to that. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to toss out a couple of factoids, and you can decide for yourself if this game is something that you'd be interested in or not. So, one of the things with Final Fantasy XIV, before we even jump into gameplay, story, or any of that, is what are you playing this on? Well, not so much what are you playing it on, more as what are you playing it with. So, regardless of what system you get the game for, you can play with both, or you can play with either a controller or a mouse and keyboard. And as somebody who has played on both PC and PS4 with both a keyboard and mouse and a controller, I can tell you right now, in my personal opinion, you are doing yourself a huge disservice and kind of committing a crime by playing this game with a mouse and keyboard. And let me explain why. If you play this game with a mouse and keyboard, you can literally roll your head across the keys and it will be like any other MMO, free to play or otherwise. It's just mashing the skills until something happens. It's more of inputting orders that your character will execute than actually controlling your character. And I know you're thinking, playing an MMO with a controller sounds awkward and weird. And normally you would be right. But Square Enix did originally design the original Final Fantasy XIV to be on console, and they've done a lot of work into making the controller support and controller experience the superior way to play. So anyone who tries to tell you, oh, you're not doing as well if you have a controller, they're full of it. Don't buy that. Don't buy into that. Anything that can be done with a mouse and keyboard can be done on a controller. I've tested it. Done it. I've completed every raid, almost all of the raids on Savage, except for the newest one because I just lost interest, but that's besides the point. You can play the entirety of this game on controller with no problem. And if you're the type of person who needs to have every skill on the screen, no worries, the UI is 100% customizable down to skills, experience, life, the map, all of it. The quality of life here is out of this world. So with that out of the way, we can go into the story. Now, if you're not familiar with the Final Fantasy series, the barrier of entry can be a little high. Not too terribly high, as I have gotten several people who've never played a Final Fantasy game to be way invested in what's going on. But if you're the type of person who isn't really interested in that sort of thing, one, why would you bother playing an MMO? And two, this is going to be a weird one, because the gameplay itself can stand on its own without the story. But you're skipping through a lot of content for a monthly subscription game to just skip through everything. But it's doable. And the types of stories, I have to say, are well worth the time, considering that a lot of MMOs will do the main story and then the whole side story thing. And Final Fantasy XIV is no different, but where it is different is that a lot of these side stories could have been the main story. What I mean by that is a lot of the side stories, you could base an entire game around that set of events, and it would be perfectly fine. It's not a game with one campaign, and it's not a game with a campaign and an expansion campaign. It's a game with multiple campaigns, an expansion campaign, and other multiple campaigns. Like, I can pretty much say with high regard that if you're the type of person who is easily entertained, or not easily entertained, somebody who enjoys story to any degree, there is something in Final Fantasy XIV for you. It's got your action, your romance, your comedy, lots of comedy, and to suffice it to say, there's something for everyone in these stories. between the main campaign. Every single job has quests, and those quests are storyline for that specific job. And there's the Hildebrand quests, any seasonal events, and each seasonal event is a continuation of last year's event of the same type. So every year there's a continuation set of quests for Valentine's Day, Halloween, Christmas, New Year's, the Final Fantasy XIV anniversary, the summer. I'm probably forgetting a bunch, but who cares? Moving on. Story. The story is important. And as good as it is, there is a glaring issue. And that issue is the very reason that I don't openly go out and recommend Final Fantasy XIV to anybody who plays video games. And that is the release schedule. This game, for a monthly subscription game, has the worst release schedule of content that I have ever seen. I stopped playing, I want to say 2 months ago, because I just kind of felt like I had done everything that was doing. And only in December, maybe the end of November, do they announce the new expansion pack for early summer of next year or something like that. That means that from November, December, up until summer of next year, there will be little to no content. And they expect you to continue paying monthly to experience the game. Now, if this were any other MMORPG, this would mean death. It would have died and have been forgotten about forever ago. But because the game had the rocky start, the explosive revival, the amazing 2 expansion packs, and just a bunch of time to build up a backlog of content, new players don't really have to worry about it. Unless you're the type to skip the story. If you skip the story, you're going to blaze through all of the rest of the game's content, and you're going to be sitting there with your hands held out, paying monthly until they add more content. And that is what is eating a lot of veteran players, is the fact that they want to keep playing the game, but there's nothing left for them to play. And when they do decide to finally add content, it is usually stuff that can be completed in a day. That's right. In a single day, I was able to complete an entire patch update of content. And it was unfulfilling and made me regret paying for that month of subscription, which is ridiculous. A lot of games, a lot of other MMOs, they do their weekly maintenance and they'll slowly patch in bits of content to keep the game fresh, to keep it alive. This game doesn't even get a bi-monthly update. This game is completely random. Sometimes you'll get stuff every month. Sometimes you'll go a huge stretch without getting anything. And sometimes it's like completely random. And for a game that expects you to continue to shell out money, you gotta ask yourself, how long can they keep doing this? Naoki Yoshida, also known as Yoshi P, is known for basically saving Final Fantasy XIV, and if you delve deeper into it, he kind of saves Square Enix as a company, in my opinion. But he did this by having his development team in a constant state of crunch. And he has stated himself that this isn't recommended for other companies and that he doesn't think that it should work that way. But I think that is the only way he knows how to direct his team, because in these dry stretches, the team always feels like they're pushing and striving really hard to get this new content out, rather than going at a steady pace. So when that content does come out, a lot of the new features and stuff feel incomplete, they feel rushed. And of course they're really good about fixing it over time, but I'd rather them release content more steadily and slowly and more complete, rather than rush out a large chunk of content and then have the themes, i.e. me, the player, blaze through it in a single day. Because this can't continue. They're not going to keep being able to get away with months between new content. They just can't do it. And I'm really looking forward to the new jobs and the new races, but if this is going to keep up, then I'm going to pay for a month, beat the game in whatever amount of time, maybe talk to some friends or something, and then I'm gonna quit until they add more. And that's kind of how I've already been doing things, and more people are gonna join that bandwagon, and the game is going to die down. Maybe not die out completely, but the success is, it's on its way out the door at the rate that they're going. And I don't want to say that, but this is, off the top of my head, some of the biggest things that I wanted to talk about the game. I do plan on doing some more Final Fantasy videos off of the jobs and the gameplay itself, and how the trifecta of DPS, tank, and healer works, and then it doesn't because of expansion and how they're planning on fixing it. But that is for another day. Hopefully this was short, sweet, and to the point enough, but also informative. And if it was, let me know down in the comments below. And I hope to catch you for another video. Thanks for watching.